Hot Seat Coaches. Welcome into the Voice of College Football for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. We appreciate you stepping by. Please hit the like button and subscribe. Black Friday is just a couple weeks away, and it's always a time in which about 8 to 12 coaches in the power conferences get the axe. Who is going to pull the trigger on a bad string of seasons? Let's check out the candidates, starting with a guy whose record is successful, but the expectations are high, and the recent look is not good. Just days ago, Brian Kelly had a clear path to the SEC championship game, despite 3 losses, a route to the college football playoff. This guy is never endearing to the public, the media, the fans at all, even when he's winning. Now he's lost 3 consecutive games. And again, this LSU team was in line until recent games to get to the college football playoff. But unprepared, unmotivated, not a good look against Alabama in Death Valley. They lose as a favorite at Florida against a marginal team. And then Brian Kelly is flipping out against players on the sideline, being caught on national television, and it being thrown all over social media. The pounding of the fist at the post-game podium, that's not the worst thing in the world, of course, but it's just adding to the reputation, the look. Think Dan Mullen in his final days at Florida. Brian Kelly, LSU, will they have the money to pony up, to buy out the contract, or do they give him another chance in 2025? The trajectory entering 2024 for Mike Loxley in Maryland has been slightly in the upward trajectory. 23-16 with 3 consecutive bowl wins for a first time in school history. He started at 5-12, took over for a rough program. That 5-12 record in 2019 and 20, he slowly built it, had outstanding passing attacks. Of course, skill position players. They could play with just about anybody in the Big Ten at the defensive back position and obviously at wide receiver in particular. Could not build this program in the trenches, and they have crash landed this season with 1 win in the conference. They've been superseded by Indiana, of course, Michigan State, Rutgers, and others. Sometimes it doesn't take much to push somebody out the door, i.e. Paul Chryst at Wisconsin. 1 bad season could show the administration, hey, we're not headed in the right direction. Let's make a change. That could be Mike Loxley's situation at Maryland. People love Sam Pittman. He's a likable guy, but maybe the fan base and the administration have had enough mediocrity. 5-5 this season, 3-4 in the SEC. On occasion, they look like they can play with the best in the conference. Of course, they pulled off the upset against Tennessee at home. They hung with Texas A&M by 4 points. Blown out against LSU, giving up 63 points to Ole Miss. Sam Pittman is now 28-30, 14-27 in the SEC. These are fairly comparable numbers that got Brent Venables fired a few years ago after he went 7-6, 8-5, 7-6. It took 1 down year at 4-8 for Venables to be shown the door. Pittman again probably will finish 6-6 because the Hogs have a Louisiana Tech game coming up. But look at South Carolina and Vandy and what's being done at those programs. Arkansas could be looking for the same, and Sam Pittman could be the fall guy. Oklahoma's a blue blood, used to winning big. Bob Stoops built a winner after a horrendous 1990s for this program and handed it to Lincoln Riley, who went 55-10 and owned the Big 12. Brent Venables' final 2 seasons in the Big 12 were nondescript, but he did finish 10-2 in the regular season last year, looking for big things in the transition to the SEC. Jackson Arnold has not developed. Venables has definitely made this a defense and strength and conditioning program first and foremost, which should fit against the SEC, but the results are not on the field. Of course, they have been hit, the Sooners have, with injuries all over the place, especially at wide receiver, where they are down 5 wide receivers, and Jackson Arnold has just flat out not developed. After a woeful 2024, could Oklahoma move on? Most likely not, but Brent Venables is squaring up for the hot seat of 2025. There's practically chaos going on at Florida State and Florida. Miami, despite this recent surge this season, obviously is underachieved forever, and Mario Cristobal's first 2 teams went 12-13. The guy that has not taken advantage of that is Gus Malzahn, 3-6 in his first season in the Big 12. UCF is no much better this season. He brought in a ton of transfer players, but it has flat out not worked. They are competitive on occasion. Of course, Arizona State might win the conference, and UCF took them down to the wire, but they get blown out on occasion definitely as well. The records looked good in the American Conference, but the transition to the Big 12 has not been pretty. Could Gus Malzahn be given the pink slip at UCF? What Mark Stoops has built at Kentucky is along the lines of statue status, considering where the program was when he took it over. He went 2-10 his first season, and then the climb began to bowl status solidly every season, and then also 10-3 seasons in 2018 and 2021. This team looked like it might have a landing spot in the top 15 in college football, but 7-6, 7-6, and a bad season out of Kentucky this season with only 4 wins and staring at Louisville the final weekend of the season. A Texas date this Saturday as well. Mark Stoops is 28-61 in the SEC. It has grown stale at 18-18 since 2022, 7-16 in the SEC. They are not competing in the conference. They lose all their home games in the conference. Mark Stoops built this program to a certain level. He has not taken it past that level. He actually stated at SEC Media Days this summer, this is not good enough. We're proud of what we've built, but we have to do more. We have to do better. Kentucky may decide to do that with another guy on the sideline. After a 70-50 loss earlier this season, yes, giving up 70 points to James Madison, Mack Brown told us that he will not resign. CBS Sports' Dennis Dodd backed that up by reporting that North Carolina will not fire Mack Brown, that he basically can decide when he leaves the program. I think that's a stupid decision by any administration, regardless of the tenure and the success of the coach, to let them decide when they move on. If they need to be evaluated and judged from season to season. If they have lost their fastball and can no longer get it done, then so be it. North Carolina doesn't look as bad now than they did several weeks ago when they started 0-3 in the ACC. It's 6-4 overall right now, beating up on some lousy football teams. But time may be running out on Mack Brown at 73 years old if North Carolina decides they need to win in football. What he's accomplished has been extraordinary. Look at North Carolina football before he got there. Look at his tenure and how he built that program into a big-time winner the first time around. Then he left, and they descended. Same thing at Texas. The before and after is astounding, and now at North Carolina, he took over for Larry Fedora, who had won 2 and 3 ball games the 2 previous seasons, lifted them up to 8 and 9 win status, getting to an ACC championship game, but it's gone stale at Chapel Hill, and North Carolina may need to move on from Mack. Hugh Freeze won at Ole Miss. Look at his 2014 and 15, but again, also look at his off-the-field conduct and what may have produced the winning. He won at Liberty 34 and 15, but others have done that as well. Liberty's been a fine program ever since Hugh Freeze left, so he's done nothing special necessarily that others have not proven to do. This guy's an offensive guru, or is he? Look at the Auburn offense, especially the passing attack the last 2 years. In this day and age of the transfer portal, it is even more telling of a head football coach and more crucial that you get the quarterback position right. You've got the options out there. Hugh Freeze stayed with Peyton Thorne, and it has cost them. He screwed up the offense the last 2 years, has Hugh Freeze, and he's 6-7, now headed toward another losing season on the Plains. On the hot seat, Hugh Freeze. Does Cal care about football? Well, Justin Wilcox, I believed to be a great hire as a defensive wizard at places like Wisconsin and Tennessee, came to Cal, and 22 and 42 in the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 has been the worst conference in college football aside from its final 2 seasons, and Justin Wilcox, even against that bad competition, has not gotten anything done. It's a really strange program because if you look at the NFL production out of this program, in not appearing in a major bowl game since 1959, the NFL production, the type of NFL talent that's been produced by this program is top 10 in the nation, but they don't win. The results aren't there. Nobody cares, so maybe they keep him. But Justin Wilcox, again, 22 and 42 in the conference, and again, losing ball games, albeit losing close ball games. They're the either unluckiest team in America this season in losing 4 games by 9 points, or Justin Wilcox is not managing the game and preparing his team and leading his team to victory. That is obvious. They're 5-5 right now. Justin Wilcox next on the list. Albeit a different Big Ten, But Jeff Brom just led this program to a Big Ten championship game in 2022. And now this is by far, it's not even close, the worst program, the worst team in the Big Ten. Ryan Walters, defensive coordinator at Illinois, led a number one ranked defense, but can he lead a program? Purdue is awful. They are 0-9 against FBS competition, being just blown out week to week to week to week, albeit they did play close against Northwestern and against Illinois. He's fired his offensive coordinator, Graham Harrell. The offense has improved since that happened, but overall it's just been completely abysmal. Consider that Daryl Hazel was fired midway through his fourth season. This is Ryan Walters just his second season after 4-8, but certainly the program not on the right track. At number 2 on our list, we got Ryan Walters, Purdue. We have a number of top college football coaches across the nation that are not meeting expectations. Look at USC and Lincoln Riley, Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, Matt Rule at Nebraska, but their tenures are too limited at this time, and there is hope at those places, so I would consider those guys to be safe for now. Again, where's a Wisconsin going to go that's better than Luke Fickell? Matt Rule at Nebraska still seems to be leading that program in the right direction. Neil Brown at West Virginia. If we had this discussion, which of course we did with our hot seat videos last offseason, we had Neil Brown right there. Then he pulled through with a 9-4 2023. But if you really look at it, look at the outcomes of those games. They beat all the bad teams. They beat some really bad teams. They did not defeat any good teams until the bowl game against North Carolina. That West Virginia 9-4 was about as paper thin as you can get it. Now West Virginia back down at 5-5, and this is historically a better program than most people realize. Top 15 in the nation in wins, winning percentage. West Virginia has consistently been a winner. Look at Dana Holgorsen, 20 games over 500, finished in the top 20 3 times. West Virginia nowhere close to a top 20 team right now. In Neil Brown's, 4th, 5th season? Number 1 on our list, Neil Brown. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football for the best in discussion, debate, and analysis. Keep in mind that we go post-game, typically Thursday and Friday night, and definitely on Saturday night each and every week. And we've got a call-in show as well on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see you then.